and then give this stage to Vijay. Vijay, all is yours. Good luck.
Thanks, Gautam. Thanks, Cecil, for the introduction. Let me know whether you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so it is indeed a pleasure to be in CISO platform to share the knowledge, share my experience on the security operations. So today's topic is I'll be talking on advanced SOC. So the agenda, the brief agenda would be like I will talk about need for advanced SOC. So, the second thing is I will also talk about how it is being evolved over a period of time. Then if we need to build the next gen SOC capability, what would be the governance model? Considering the current threat landscape, there are a lot of actually security solutions in place. How we need to build the integrated technologies, integrated approach when it comes to the security operations monitoring, predominantly on adaptive SOC. Once you build the SOC, how do you measure the effectiveness of the SOC? Is it yielding value? Is it able to actually effectively detect or prevent certain actually the sophisticated attacks or kind of APTs? How do you test? How do you measure? If you need to benchmark your existing SOC with certain actually the best practices, how do you do that? I will also talk about there is a maturity model available wherein with your current existing capability, if you can do the mapping, then you know in terms of SOC maturity where do you stand. So with this agenda, let's move to this current threat landscape. If you see this current threat landscape, nation state sponsored APTs, we could see, I think, start from January to till now. During this COVID circumstances, most of the organizations are operating actually remotely to support the customer or to support the corporate activities. So we see globally, there are a lot of actually cyber security related issues actually reported. If you segregate into or put them into the different bucket, the first one is nation state sponsored, the advanced persistent threat, targeting predominantly on ICT sectors, the critical information infrastructure providers, or the government, the regulators, or the financial institutions. Second thing is during this past like 6 to 8 months, we have also seen there is a rise on the sophisticated ransomware attacks are on rise. We have also seen there are some public info where some actually the compromise or some of the actually largest the IT firm affected with this ransomware attack. Again, if I need to name few actually the popular the ransomware that is being actually targeting the various organizations or it's on a news on a daily basis, Maze ransomware, again wasted ransomware, then you can talk about the NetLogger, Emonet. These all actually very prevailing, very active in the current actually the circumstances. The third one is now the threat actors are started exploiting the COVID-19 the circumstances situation. And if you look at it, there are a lot of actually phishing emails, COVID themed scams targeting the end users belongs to the organization or the general public. We have seen a lot of actually phishing emails. Maybe to put it in a perspective with some numbers, which will actually portray the current threat landscape. If you look at the global cost of the cybercrime per minute is going to reach $11.4 million by 2021. As we speak, 1.5 attacks on computers with an internet connection per minute. The same way, if you look at it per minute, there are 375 new threats are identified. Per minute, again, the 16K records getting compromised globally. Every 24 minutes, there is one new vulnerability identified, disclosed. Again, one COVID-19 blacklisted domain actually every 15 minutes. The similar way, 35 COVID-19, the scams or the spam emails, analyze the per minute. This is again, if you look at, this is the interesting statistics that is from Risk IQ. This was released, published sometime in August 2020. Maybe if you look at the next report, I'm sure it is going to be more. I think this will give the exact the overview about the current threat landscape on where we are operating. Why do we need a modern SOC? Traditionally, if you look at the SIM solution put in place to meet the compliance requirements or the regulatory requirements. But now if you look at the SIM solutions, it works more on signature based. That is the reactive approach. But in the current context, we have seen the APTs or the sophisticated ransomware. Is it capable of detecting? The answer is no. And if you look at now, the modern day or the threat actors started actually using the AI and ML solution for launching the sophisticated attack, which means the solution that is actually used in the organization also need to leverage the AI and ML capability to effectively detect and prevent from these attacks. So these are certain actually the causes why we need the modern SOC or why we need to take the existing SOC into the next gen capabilities. SOC defined, because SOC is actually evolving over a period of time. It started with the earlier, if somebody having a SIM solution calls as I am having a SOC, but today if you look at it, how it evolved, the Security Operations Center provides centralized and consolidated cyber incident prevention, detection and response capability. Security operations functions often performed by a SOC. The primary focus, key focus would be security monitoring. Of course, the monitoring of various IT security consoles, monitoring of SIM for alert correlation, event correlation and alerting. That is going to be the primary. And then the cyber security incident response management, of course, the device management and maintenance, that also fall part of the security operations. Now in the today's context, the SIM cannot operate with this actually the known signatures. Obviously, it needs to have a feed of the threat intel feeds, the known unknowns. That is where the threat intelligence, of course, if you are getting any the cyber threat intel advisories, you need to quickly scan your estate to see is there any vulnerable versions running on your systems, or if there are any IOCs, you need to quickly search is any of your system is actually impacted or communicating with the bad reputation IPs. That is where the vulnerability management also comes part of the SOC. The security compliance management, security trainings, because this is again, if you look at it of late, any awareness related simulations, it could be a phishing simulation, it could be a smishing activity. These all basically subsequent to this awareness, this is carried out to check the employees, the awareness level. This is again the part of the SOC. So when we say the SOC, it is a people, combination of people, process and technology. There is no SOC vendors. SOC comprises the various technologies which works together to provide the preventive, detective and responsive capabilities. So comprehensive governance model, when we talk about the governance model, we need to talk about the people, process and technology. Of course, the first thing is you need to define the clear objective for the SOC. What is the purpose of building this SOC? Is it going to be a regulatory? Is it going to be a compliance requirement? But today's context, everyone needs to realize and admit that the SOC is going to be the first line of defense when there is any attack targeting the organization. So it is much more beyond any compliance or the regulatory requirements. This is for the organizations to detect any attack targeting the particular organizations. The second thing is when it comes to the process, of course, we need to define, very well define the policy, process, as well as the procedures. Of course, the incident management policy, then you need to have a process. Then when it comes to the SOC operations, again, the SOC procedures, standard operating procedures to respond for each of this alert related to different categories. Then the use case management, the log integration procedures, shift rosters, these all will be part of the process. When it comes to the people, of course, we need to have a 3 levels. One is the L1 falls on the alert analyst, L2 is the incident responder, L3 is the SMEs, subject matter expert. Of course, in the current actually scenario, if you look at it, we need to have a skill set, we need to have a SMEs for all the areas, like start from threat hunting or start from the incident investigation, deep dive analysis or the malware analysis. Wherever possible, organization can have these resources, or there are certain actually services also available, incident response, forensics, where organizations can engage or leverage the third-party expertise wherever needed. They can actually leverage the third-party expertise as well. This is particularly, it makes sense for some of the profiles like the skills. If you look at malware analysis, reverse engineering, or any kind of like a data analytics or the red teaming activities, it makes sense to engage a third party who has got expertise specialized in this area. When we say integrated security technologies, of course, when it comes to the SOC, SIM is going to the central console, going to sit on SOC, wherein the critical devices logs are integrated with the SIM. SIM will actually do the correlation based on the use cases configured, and then it triggers the alert, anything anomalous or any suspicious activity identified from the logs integrated. Again, apart from this, the other thing what we need to constantly feed in is threat intels. In the current context, if you look at it, threat intel inputs are available, plenty of information are available. It comes from multiple sources, start from the government, the regulators, or the like paid services available. A lot of actually free sources also available. So of course the question is which one we need to relay when it comes to the threat intel. In addition to that, each and every OEM also started providing their own threat intel. The thing is, the OEM A provides certain actually the reputation which will not match with the OEM B. So how do we work on it? That is where you need to actually collect the threat intel feeds from multiple sources and do this enrichment, do the baselining, and then you define the criteria which one needs to be considered as a blacklisted IPs. That needs to be constantly fed into the SIM for getting this threat intel related feeds and then creating or triggering these alerts. So we will also see in the subsequent slide, I will talk about when I say the threat intel, there are again 3 types available: tactical, again the operational, and the strategic actually threat intel feeds. Security analytics, this is where the UEBA capability comes into picture, user entity behavior analysis. As I mentioned, now there are solutions available with the ML AI the capability, because in addition to this signature based, more we need to rely on behavioral based analytics, as well as we need to create certain kind of a user baselining. Say for example, if user behavior is to operate in particular location, or this is the time window he used to operate, suddenly if there is a alert or there is an activity in unusual timing or unusual location, that is something suspicious. Could be a user credential compromised, or somebody might be using a user credentials to log in from a different location, which is a suspicious. This will be picked only if you do the baselining on user behavior analytics. The similar way, entity, the devices, if there are any anomalies from the devices, that should be able to pick. These all will be effective when we have a machine learning actually capability. The solutions you'll be able to effectively detect. The next one is on the incident management tools, visualization, reporting. Again, there are a lot of things, plenty of things open source available. Of course, we need to create the dashboards, report to see what kind of alert, again, which all things are actually causing a critical ones, then the root cause analysis, again, going through the detailed deep dive analysis, investigation, and then work on remedial measures. The other one, if you look at the on the organizations, one is your crown jewels or the critical infrastructure logs that needs to be integrated with the SIM. The second thing is the user systems. because that is going to be huge. Now, how do you address or how do you gain visibility on user endpoints? So that's where it is impossible, or it is again kind of a tedious job to integrate the user the endpoint system logs with the SIM, because obviously the SIM the EPS is going to suit up. So one of the thing is like to have a effective the EPP EDR solutions, because the thing is like the EPP will provide next generation AV capability, capable of actually detecting the fileless malware or effective in preventing the ransomware kind of attack. Other thing is the EDR constantly it provides visibility on all your endpoints, because the agent is running locally. If you are leveraging a cloud solution, again the cloud, the ML also will be effective in analyzing the activities related to suspicious behavior on the endpoint. If there are any suspicious modification, that will be timely picked up. Also, it will actually prevent execution of any scripts or any payload executing on a local endpoint system. Now, when we actually look at the integrated SOC or the adaptive SOC, how it needs to work, the organizations might have various solutions. Again, this would have actually procured, implemented over a period of time. Of course, to have an effective, the holistic actually view, and then actually initiating for the actions, it is important, imperative to have an integrated approach, which means SIM is going to be a central solution wherein all other technologies, be it UEBA or be it actually threat intel or be it the EDR, EPP or be it the CASP, these all needs to be integrated. Through the SIM, we need to get the central view on what is happening on the organization, so that you will get the holistic view, and then the centrally you will be able to coordinate and initiate for incident response actions. Now, when we look at the technologies, we need to choose the right technologies. Obviously, when it comes to the SOC, SIM is going to be the primary solutions. So when you pick the solutions, you need to clearly identify what is your requirement, and then carry out this evaluation, do this proof of value to see that this is going to complement your existing solution rather than actually duplication of effort or creating some kind of actually conflict within the solutions. So if you look at, there are a lot of solutions, EDR, SOAR, again the automation capability, malware sandbox for the analysis in a restricted confined environment, network traffic analysis, UEBA user entity behavior analysis, privileged access management, CASB to get a visibility on the cloud, actually cloud related services, cloud workloads. So whichever solution you choose, you implement, of course, eventually it has to be integrated with the SIM to get a central view on the alert and then initiating these actions. I will also talk about, I'm not going to talk about all the technologies, because each one of the technology is big on its own. So I will quickly touch upon few things, and then I'll move to the SOC effectiveness aspect. Types of threat intel I have already talked about. See here, if you look at tactical, operational, the strategic, tactical is something on a daily basis you would actually get the threat intel advisories having IOCs related to specific threat, which you would actually get from multiple sources, start from the paid services or the open source or any of the OEM provided. So of course, here if you look at the stakeholders are SOC analyzed, again the SIM. So if you get this IOCs, three things you need to do. One, the IPs domains, we can add it in the SIM as a watch list. Again, whatever the hazards are available, again work with the IT team, ensure the systems AV are having a necessary actually the signatures to detect those particular the threat. Second thing is, if there are any blacklisted IPs domain, that needs to be blocked at the firewall. This is where it comes on the tactical part. Second thing is on the operational. This is predominantly focused on understanding the adversarial capability infrastructure, TTPs. Again, if you look at the TTPs, again it is again tactics, techniques, and procedures. This is again kind of the regular ongoing threat hunting activity on your environment. If you get any like the nation state sponsored APTs or a kind of a ransomware or any CV related advisory, obviously you need to quickly check your estate is there any vulnerable or any of the systems actually vulnerable to this particular IOC. So that is something constantly you need to look at. You need to do hunting on your internal environment and then taking the action. That is where it falls on the operational. Strategic, this is more on, it could be a threat arising out of geopolitical or any global actually the changes. So we need to look at strategically or any specific actually threat or any specific attack targeting your organization. That is where we need to engage a service, or we need to dedicatedly engage somebody to do all kind of hunting to identify what is their motive, what is their actually target behavior, and then initiating the actions. So this is again, it falls on the CISO, CIO, CTO. If you look at the typical threat intelligence, again, the solution integration with the SIM, this is basically to give a glimpse. Okay, it could be, I have just listed some of the things. Okay, it could be more, because each and every OEM has got its threat intel capability. Of course, the certain also extending a threat intel capability which can be integrated with your SIEM. And then you create the use cases on the SIEM. If there is any inbound connections from a suspicious sources, of course, the firewall will detect based on its own intelligence. Also, you can actually create the use cases to check your threat intel feeds integrated with the SIM, so that it is going to check both. If it matches, it triggers the alert. That will be like a credible intelligence when it comes to detecting any malicious activity targeting your organization. The other technology, if you look at if I name actually few, the deception technology, this is traditionally called as this comes from a honeypot or honeynet. We are all aware. Okay, so this deception, how it works is it's similar to this honeypot or honeynet technology. Here they call it as a decoy, which means on a current scenario, you can create the decoy, endpoint decoy. If you are having a critical servers infrastructure at the DMZ, you can create the DMZ decoy. And then internet facing systems, you can have a decoy. Decoy is nothing but fake systems, pretends to be similar to your original system. It will have a page, it will carry the IP, it will have some the dummy data loaded onto that system, which means this system will be part of your network, but this system will not be accessible within your network. But if somebody touches the system, access this dummy data, then you can actually know there is an attack targeting your organization. There is a lateral movement happening on your organization, because in no scenario the internal user will access this, because it will looks like the legitimate systems, but whatever data present, it's all dummy. Two ways it is going to help. It is going to, if somebody touches the system, access the data, then you can clearly identify there is an attack going on. Second thing is it will also do the logging of all the activity, which means based on the logging activity, analyzing the logs, you will know the attack vector, you know the pattern, from which IP they are originating. Accordingly, you can initiate the actions for the preventive, as well as if you wanted to go for law enforcement, all those things are possible. CASB, this is again cloud access security broker. In current context, 95% of the organizations started actually leveraging more and more on cloud solutions, cloud infrastructure, be it SaaS or infrastructure as a service or platform as a service. Now the question is, if the application systems residing within the organization, when you implement the solutions, of course, you can actually enable the control, you have a visibility. But the question is, when the organization users are leveraging a cloud solutions, how do you get a visibility? That is where the CASB is going to help the cloud access security provide the solution broker. It provides two things. One, the visibility. If you are actually leveraging the Office 365 cloud, Microsoft Office 365, or if you are using a GCP, the Google Cloud provider, or AWS, accordingly you need to subscribe that service, which means any traffic originating from your network to this particular cloud, you will have visibility. Then accordingly you can do the control. When it comes to the control, there are three things. One, the shadow IT. The services not provided IT also might be actually leveraged by the users. Say for example, like if users want to do any like document to PDF conversion, of course there are a lot of the open source, the freewares available on the cloud solutions. If they actually start leveraging this, then your organization sensitive data getting into the third party cloud. We never know. The user objective might be met by converting a document into PDF, but still the data is residing. How do you control? How do you get a visibility on the shadow IT? That is where it actually provides the visibility. It could be something related to accessing the video collaboration related, the third party applications or audio or streaming. Everything you will get a visibility. Then based on your policies, you define what is allowed, what is not allowed. You can completely prevent your corporate users accessing the high risk services. That is one on the shadow IT. Second thing is on the sanction IT, whatever services provided by the organization. If organization is actually encouraging users or to keep the data only in SharePoint or the OneDrive or Office 365 workload is provided for the users access, or the AWS cloud is actually the provided for the user access, how do you actually get a visibility and ensure the necessary controls are put in place? It will actually help. It again the provides, we can have use cases to identify the user anomaly access. Again, if any suspicious activity happening on the cloud environment, data deletion or suspicious access, it provides the visibility as well as the control. Again, in addition to this two actually functionalities, there is one more actually with the rudimentary, the lexicon based, the DLP functionality also available, wherein you can actually create the use cases to monitor the organization, the proprietary, the sensitive information, basically for detection as well as the alerting purpose. The next is the SOAR capability. This is again, if you look at when it comes to the security incidents, the containment is very key, because we will have to quickly take actions to contain the incident so as to minimize the impact. So how do you do that? Because you have a solutions. The SOC is actually triggering an alert of any suspicious activity or suspicious inbound connections, or user reporting user has received a phishing email. Now the action needs to be done working with various cross-functional resolver teams to actually take action in terms of blocking at the gateway level, in terms of blocking at the firewall level. So that is where the SOAR, the orchestration and automated response, is going to help, wherein actually you can define the playbooks. Nowadays, actually, if you look at most of the OEMs, actually SIEM providers, they provide the threat intel services. Also, the SOAR also come as a part of the SIEM. It is all actually bundled. It is all bundled. Even if you are going for any third party, always there is an option for integration with your existing SIEM as well. So how it works? So if there is an alert triggered without any manual intervention, as per the playbook, it will actually initiate the actions blocking at the firewall level, which means this entire things, end-to-end action in terms of containment, it happens in fraction of minutes. So that's where you'll be able to swiftly do the containment actions and minimize the impact. Here, one of the thing is that I have given like phishing. If somebody receiving a phishing email, of course, it has to be analyzed. The email header analysis needs to be done. Again, if the email is originated from bad reputation IP or bad domain, that needs to be blocked at the email gateway level. And then there should be a awareness email to user on basically how do they overcome with the phishing or the spam emails. So both all can be achieved by the SOAR, provided if you have a very well defined the use cases. Accordingly, you can actually automate the actions without any manual intervention. This is MITRE framework. This is again adversarial tactics, techniques, and common knowledge. If you look at the MITRE has got the 12 techniques, again 180 plus techniques are available. Tactics is nothing but similar to attack chain model phases. Again, techniques, ways to execute the tactics. One of the simple example could be, when I say tactics, one of the tactics is credential access. So how do you get this credential access on the target system or the applications? Techniques could be brute force, through the brute force, or through the dictionary, or through the social engineering. These are the various techniques. That's what they are having. This is a very good source of information. It has got actually 180 plus techniques and 12 tactics. Even when you create use cases for the SIEM, obviously you can look at You can refer this actually the MITRE ATT&CK framework, and then for each of this actually techniques you can have a use cases. And the similar way, even for the monitoring team, when they get any alert, obviously the alert or the incident category can be mapped with the MITRE framework, which would provide certain actually idea on what would be the intent motive of this attack, as well as again what is the attack vector, based on which you will be able to identify this is something related to the ransomware attack, because each and every attack has got its own actually the attack vector and the signatures. So based on the holistic view, what you get, if you are able to map, this is the area I'm getting the suspicious activity, put them into the respective the tactics and techniques, you will get a holistic view. This is something similar to APT10 campaign. This is something similar to the ransomware. Accordingly, action can be initiated. The next is very important thing is, how do you test the effectiveness of the SOC? We have a SIEM, we have multiple solutions, it's all integrated, we have a use cases configured, the team is getting an alert. How do you measure the effectiveness? This is where the breach attack simulation or the red teaming exercise will help, wherein they will carry out various actually attack techniques in line with the MITRE framework, which talks about the tactics and techniques, wherein like when they actually carry out this particular activity, red teaming activity, how effective your SOC to detect this activity will tell you effectiveness of your use cases, effectiveness in terms of prevention and detective capability. Some of the example could be, can you transfer malware through the perimeter? Again, the technology tested anti-malware and then sandboxing. Somebody trying to transfer the malware file, okay, whether your antivirus or anti-malware or endpoint protection system is capable of detecting and preventing this particular malware, that will show you your preventive and detective capability. Can malware establish CNC undetected? If any communication from internal to external malicious sources, could be a CNC, command and control, whether you are able to pick up as a part of your monitoring. If you are able to pick up, then your firewall is working well, as well as your threat intel is working fine, because your internal system is trying to communicate with the external malicious or the blacklisted IP, which has been picked by the SIEM. So these are the various ways. I have given the similar way. Will my SIEM correlate the alerts correctly? Can a threat actor transfer sensitive data out? This is something related to data exfiltration. Test the effectiveness of the firewall configs as well as your DLP. Again, can a threat exploit the systems? NIPS. Can an attacker run a code undetected? If somebody running a code on the endpoint system or a script, whether your EPP EDR system is effective in detecting, preventing from the execution. So this is something will tell you how effective your solutions are configured, how effective your solutions in terms of preventive and detective capability. So what are all the KPIs? Key performance indicators. Of course, when it comes to the SOC, one is the crown jewels or the critical infrastructure, percentage of critical devices covered as a part of your the 24/7 monitoring. Again, the percentage of use cases triggered alert. I might have 100, 200 use cases, but how many use cases are triggering alert? Are they effective? When you create the use cases, it should be a threat specific use cases. It can be asset specific, or it could be something related to the complaint specific. We can also create the use cases taking in the log from multiple sources, checking with the threat intel, and then taking the decision correlation in terms of alerting. Are they working? So before deploying, are you carrying out the testing of those use cases? Ability for SIEM to detect the alert. You have a SIEM system, you have a use cases, but when there is an event occurring at the system level, at what time your SIEM is picking up? Is it within 2 minutes? Is it within actually 1 minute, or within 15 minutes? How effective? Then the false positive optimizations, because you have been adding the solutions, you have been constantly creating the use cases, right? Threat specific or sub specific compliance or new actually the ransomware, all those things you have been creating, but there are alerts actually gets triggered. How do you optimize the false positive? Percentage of reduction in the repeated incident. All the critical, again, the repeated incidents needs to go through the root cause analysis. Look at what is causing this issue. it has to be tracked in a separate ticket for the actions. When it comes to the operations, how your operations are effective, the first level response. If there is alert triggered, incident triggered, how quickly team is actually responding to this incident. One is acknowledgement, again responding to this incident. Again, time to contain. The SOC, the operations needs to have a very well defined SOPs for each of those actually use cases, the alert categories, if it is triggered, what sort of actions need to be done, who is the resolver point of contact, what is the escalation metrics, again time to resolve. These all, when you start measuring this, it would actually provide the effectiveness, insight on the effectiveness. These are the KPIs when it comes to the security operations. Finally, maturity. So how do I benchmark my SOC with the some actually maturity models? So this is something actually provided by Gartner. Say for example, if somebody has got only SIM solution, practices basic, again the scale is start from 1 to 5, 1 is at the lower level, 5 is at the higher level. So someone is having a SIM solution configured with the basic alert triaging. There is no threat intel focus, no metrics. Alert monitoring is done by L1, L2, L3. So obviously this category will fall in the level 1, which is the lower maturity. Same, I'll pick up another example where maybe like, yeah, we have expertise to do malware analysis. I have a threat intel capability, and there is a team constantly performing threat hunting activities, as well as to test the effectiveness. We have been actually doing a breach attack simulations or red teaming, blue teaming responses. I have a EDR solutions. Again, this would fall on maturity level 4. Okay, so this would actually help you. What is your current state? If you need to attain the higher level of maturity, what all things you need to do? I'm not going to read entire things. Maybe on a sample, I picked up the maturity level 1 and 4. Maybe by seeing this, you will get a clear idea. And this is also available public things. It's a Gartner document. So summary, the mindset, the need for a mindset. Basically, we need to shift from reactive to adaptive approach, because signature-based solutions will be a reactive, will not be effective in detecting the sophisticated attack. Of course, we need to look and we need to explore, and when we actually evaluate the solutions, we need to ensure it has a behavioral capability, it has a AI and ML capability, it is capable of detecting the sophisticated attacks, again the APTs, again the fileless malwares. That is very important. And constantly, because when it comes to the threat, again we will also say like 3 things, right? One is the known knowns. Outside the industry also knows, again the OEMs knows. This again signatures available as a part of the solution itself. There is no issue on that. Second thing is known unknown. That is where your threat intel feeds, tactical, operational, or the strategic. These feeds will help you to get visibility on known unknowns, which means somewhere there is attack had happened, and somebody has worked on the analysis of those attacks and identified the IOCs which is available. You need to subscribe those IOCs, feed into your the solutions to get intelligence on known unknowns. Third one is, what is the risk or the challenging one? Unknown unknown. Nobody knows. Even the solution will not have idea. That is where your UEBA, again the behavioral analysis, again the baselining, or your AI/ML capability is going to help you on identifying the anomalous activity, suspicious changes on the registry processes. It is going to help. And constantly you need to carry out the red teaming exercise or the breach attack simulations to test the effectiveness of your use cases. Again, the SOC solutions, preventive and detective capability. Measure the process for the continual improvement. With this, I am done with this presentation. If you have any questions, just let me know. I think I hope I'm on